Hey guitar friend, I love this sound. So today we're not going to have to worry about the chord changes. We're going to use these beautiful things called DYADS to just harmonize melodic ideas on the fly. You know the sound, but we're going to dig into it. So let's get going. We got a workout to do, so grab your guitar. Let's fire it up. By the way, you should join me on my 5-day boot camp. It's coming up next week. The link is in the description. So what do we have on the board? These are the notes of an E major scale. And then what I've got there are the major and the minors, right? You might be noticing, wait a second, the D sharp minor, that should be D sharp diminished. But when we're just spelling out thirds and sixths, these dyads don't incorporate the full diminished chord. So we can just notice that there's only two shapes. Check it out. The blue dots are just adding a sixth to each of these melody notes, right? So you might notice, go ahead and join me on this lick, that there's only two types of shapes, right? There's either the diagonal one like that, or there's one where they're on the same fret. You might also notice that if we were going to be playing all the chords of an E major scale, those notes would be right there on the top first and third string, right? So we can see that's a piece of an E major, a piece of an F sharp minor, a piece of a G sharp minor. But the beauty is that once we use that to map out where these pairs are, we can play freely and just sort of create phrases. So look at this, I go, and I just harmonize it. It takes a little while to memorize where these are going to be the diagonal shape or the stacked on one fret shape, but once you got it, you can play up and down that whole scale just riding along these two strings. Let's keep going. So if I turn this off and then turn that on, whoa, 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 that looks crazy. But you might realize that that's actually just, if you look down here, that's that E down an octave. So we're just taking the same root note and we're just voicing it down an octave. That ends up creating, these are actually thirds, major and minor thirds. Beautiful, right? And again, deciding which one's major and which one's minor, you can use your memory of, okay, so E, it's going to be major, right? So it'd be major, minor, minor, just like the harmonized scale, just like the chords that go with that scale, right? So now let's cook it up with a little bit of some chord changes, but we're just going to be playing these beautiful thirds and sixths. And I know it's a lot of dots, but I think you got the idea. You got the pattern now, right? So let's look at it over here. Isn't that fun? So I'm using all the flavors of E major, but I'm just spelling a melody off the top of my head. And I know when to switch based off of my knowledge of that E major scale. Okay, well that's all nice and pretty, but what if we go to something that's a little bit more on the funkier side? So this is just a simple kind of like pocket right here. I'm going to take away the notes of E major, and there's just going to be one shift here. Looks almost identical, right? The only note that we've changed is that we've taken that D sharp and made it just a regular D. So I've kind of like highlighted that with like a trapezoid or maybe a D, right? So let's just play those single notes first. Almost identical, but then we get into that D natural, right? So that would be the flat 7 in relation to that E. That one single note gives us that bluesier sound. That's the Mixolydian mode. You might say, well, that's like A major. Sure, but I love, for my usage, to think of this as just, I'm just tweaking one note in the E major scale. So we can do the exact same thing. What we're going to do now is just lay out the same sequence we did before and make that same adjustment to the D sharp, turn it into a regular D. So now we'll try this. These will be the 6, right? So, right? You hear that difference. That's that. You hear that a lot in blues, right? There it is. Very jam band. Easy peasy. And all we have to do is kind of think of, okay, I've got the E major scale, I've tweaked one note, and then you just build that same scale on one string at a time. Let's do what we did before, and same exact thing. We're just taking it now on one string lower. Now we've got that. Keeping our eye out for when the D occurs. All right, let's make these chords move again, and we're just gonna jam. This is so perfect for when you're in maybe a jam session and you don't have time to grab the exact chord changes. Maybe it's better that you don't. I played one wrong there. And this will happen a lot. You might have them all right and then you sort of goof one up. That's all good. All right, let's go to this one right here so we can now see them all. I know it's a lot of dots, but remember, we've got our recipe. We can build this out. A lot of it is just like regular E major. Nice. Actually, we're way ahead of schedule. I don't even think we need to do the full workout. I think that's a really good vibe on playing thirds and playing sixths. You've got a major scale recipe. You've got a Mixolydian version of that scale. Remember, you just lower the 7th degree down to make it a flat 7th. You could do this in any key, and then you're off to the races. What do you think about that, guitar friend? If you want to do workouts like this, my friends and I in our community, we go live every night together. Just like this, we go through dyads and triads and scales and the whole deal. We hope you can join us. If you have any questions, you can leave me a comment. Hope you have a great evening and just rock out.